We're now going to cover rethinking the concept of concerns about doing more with less. I love this one section, and I love it because it hits home hard. One of the roles that I play is as a writer, a speaker, an entrepreneur is when I'm being hired to go work at, say, a conference and speak, people often ask me to cover the fact that people are challenged with doing more with less. Well, let's set the story straight today. You're going to learn something. Maybe it'll change your perception completely. And I'd like to start with a quote from the chairman of Manpower, Jeffrey Jorez. He says, employers are looking for ways to accelerate their business strategy with fewer people. No duh. I mean, come on. We've been doing that since the beginning of time. Let's just travel back to approximately 1792. There was, Eli Whitney created the cotton gin. And why did he create the cotton gin? He created the cotton gin not to eliminate slave labor, but to do more with less. He wanted to increase productivity, increase quality, increase speed, decrease cost. And he did it. He created the cotton gin. If we just move forward 2 more years, the steam engine steam locomotive engine was created, and it eliminated horses. For pulling. I mean, we can now move large amounts of material and people to distant lands. We didn't have to have hay to be able to get to one location to another or stop because the horses were tired. Granted, we did need steam, we did need all sorts of things to make that work, but it's much different than it was. We leveraged the technology. Let's take a huge jump. Let's jump to 1900. In 1900, a steel magnate, a guy who had a steel industry, Andrew Carnegie, shut down a manufacturing facility, and there was an uproar in this. I mean, people went on strike, and the strike was kind of very violent. And part of it was he wanted to automate his facility. He put in conveyor belts, oh my God. And he put in line queue systems, and he put in wheelbarrows and all sorts of things to move the steel around. He was trying to do more with less, and so did a guy by the name of Henry Ford, who's been credited with the assembly line, which actually came from the Persians years ago. He put in a system to enable people to generate more cars at a faster pace, a higher quality, more consistency, doing more with less. Now let's jump again to the, say, 1950s. We put in these mainframe computer systems. We moved from the back office, or actually we went from farming, we went to the to warehousing. We're now going into the front offices, and these mainframes allowed us to do, for example, accounting. We were able to process larger amounts of data with fewer and fewer people. And then along came the personal computer, the desktop computer. That did what? It allowed you to do more with less. It allowed you to be able to process and do spreadsheets and communicate with one another and design right on your desktop with not much challenge. And if we even jump to the years 2000s, there are times right now, the apps that we have, the cell phones we have, the GPS, all of these are allowing us to do more with less because we're thriving and striving to do more with less. So here's the kicker. Here's the big question for you. If since the beginning of time we've been trying to do more with less, let's fast forward to the year 2047. You think we're going to be doing more with less? Do you think the challenge for leadership will be to do more with less? Absolutely. 3,000, or just before, 2,999, just before the changeover. The employees there who are being interviewed, the people who are building, growing, are going to be challenged to do more with less. Now, what if you took on the philosophy, the change, that it's not a concern or a challenge, but it's an opportunity and a direction. It's an approach that you could use when you sit down with your staff and they say, how do we do more with less? Now, that's a little different than saying, my budget's constantly being cut. That's not doing more with less. That's somebody in another room or somebody in another aisle saying, I think you could do it with less. That's different than having a mental or positive philosophy that as an organization, if we can leverage technology, if we can streamline and do things better, we can do more with less. So let me give you a little insight into the trend that you're going to be seeing, whether you like it or not. The next doing more with less is going to be completely radical. It's going to be a game changer. We went from the fields, the grasslands, the farming, to the warehouses. the back rooms, the manufacturing facilities. We then move to the front offices, and then we move to the desktop, and then we move to the handheld. Where are we going next? Take a wild guess. Just where are we going next? The minute I say it, you'll know. We are going to try to increase the speed and the ability for people to think by putting chips in people's brains so that we can analyze data, do more with less, become more efficient, more precise. We're moving into an age where disruption will be, and in our lifetimes, we'll see this, that people will put chips in their bodies and use technology in a way to do more with less than we've never ever fathomed. The only difference is now these computer systems can think just as fast as the human brain. So it'll be adding another computered brain on top of yours. That's kind of cool. So I would say embrace it. With this short story, I want to end this one segment. I work with this guy, I won't mention his name, and he has resisted getting a new cell phone. He's a manager, runs several hundred people. And he keeps on coming in with this little clunky old cell phone. And just recently he upgraded to a clunkier old cell phone. And I said to him the other day, imagine the change if you showed to your staff and his management team if he had a new phone to say he's 2000 and X. I said, but the way you do it, you have to do it like this. You get a big box and you buy an Apple or a Samsung or a Motorola, it doesn't matter what it is, and you stick it inside. And you put it on the table and say, we're gonna open up this, I got a surprise for everybody. And you start pulling out the paper, and you're pulling out the paper, and he takes out a cell phone and says, we're moving forward. We're gonna leverage the technology, we're gonna do what we do better. We're gonna manage and control doing more with less. That'd be amazing. That'd be an incredible feeling of inspiration to the people that you work with. So change your routine, change your concern, change your beliefs, because you'll be doing more with less the rest of your life.